I'm Paul Cashmere. Melbourne musician John Arthur Grzyb has a new name, Antoni Grzyb. His piano-based instrumental album, Give Me a Mask, is his latest project. For Noise 11's Interviews from Home series, here is John, aka Antoni.
John Arthur Grzyb, welcome to noise11.com. And John, I'm more used to talking to you in a sort of a pop rock type sense. This is something quite different that we're talking about today, the Antoni Grzyb project, which is your latest project, some new music and something very different.
Thanks, Paul. Nice to be here on Noise 11. It is a little bit different to me because most people know me as as someone who works behind the scenes, mainly as a session musician, as a band member, and backing lots of famous singers that I have done over the years. So I have been a music writer, a composer, all of my life, really, but and that's come out in different ways. But this is the first album that I've done in a particularly piano-based introspective style, if you like. And it's music that that I feel that I've played most of my life, but this is my opportunity to gather it together in one package and get it out there.
So I take it you are classically trained then?
Yes. So I started playing at about the age of 70, the age of 7.
No, not how old you are now, John, when you started.
The age of 7. And I went right through to university level playing classical music and listening to rock and roll and all sorts of other genres at the time. And I was enticed by rock music. I've always loved classical music, but I wanted to join a rock and roll band, and that's what I did.
Yeah, rattle off a few names so you can familiarise the audience with who you've worked with in the past, so they get a concept of how far we're jumping with this new project.
I was on Countdown with a band called Freeway in a previous life many years ago. I worked with Phil Manning. I've worked with Brian Cadd for many years in his band. I've been a member of Mike Brady's band, playing corporate gigs and all sorts of things for the last 25 plus years, probably the longest band I've ever been involved with. I've worked with Bob Valentine, Lisa Edwards, Wendy Stapleton, Nikki Nichols, a long list. I started making a list of some of the singers and some of the musicians that I've worked with over the years. Started making that list a few years ago, and it's actually on my website. It's a frighteningly long list, I have to say.
It's good to have a good resume.
I've also been worked as an arranger, arranging both audio and writing charts, right, like printed notation arrangements. I've worked for Channel 9 for a lot of years doing arrangements for Carols by Candlelight. I've done printed arrangements for lots of people, including Hugh Jackman, actually, at one point. I did a little bit of arranging for Jerry Lewis when he came out years ago. All sorts of people. Yeah, arranging is another way of getting of staying behind the scenes and not getting your face out in front of people.
Well, and you know, you've got a fairly dark image that goes with the Antoni Grzyb project, so you're not really getting your face out. The only way people are really seeing your face is seeing you here.
Well, yes, there you go. The music is a little bit dark in place, a little bit dark, and I used the word introspective. It's I'm wanting the music to speak for itself. I don't think my face is as pretty as it once was. I don't think my face is going to sell the music necessarily.
There's a bit of a Justin Bieber going on there.
Yes.
Now,
what's wrong with your...
When did you actually start working on this record? Because the title "Give Me a Mask" is quite an appropriate title for what we're going through at the moment. So when did all this begin?
My album title is "Give Me a Mask," and that is just another bizarre thing about the year 2020. It's totally unplanned. It has nothing to do with a certain virus. I chose the name for the album last year, and it comes from a quote by Oscar Wilde. And Oscar's reported to have said something like, "Give someone a mask, and they will tell you the truth." There's a quote for you. Give someone a mask and they will tell you the truth. So last year I had to decide, I was already working on the album. I had decided to adopt a pseudonym, and we'll talk about the reasons for that in a moment, I guess. And I came across the quote and I thought, this is some of the most personal music that I've written and wanting to put out there. Some of the most personal music that I've ever written, and yet I'm wanting to do it with a pseudonym. So it's a case of me putting on a mask and telling the truth.
So why the pseudonym, though? Why haven't you released this as a John Arthur Grant record?
Well, there are some other John Grants in the world. There's a singer-songwriter in the States called John Grant. He's even toured Australia. I have been using the name John Arthur Grant over the last few years because I've been writing some, what I like to call post-classical music. So music in the Western classical tradition. I've had pieces played by the Astra Choir in Melbourne and the Australian Voices. I've written some pieces for clarinets and flutes and all sorts of ensembles in the classical music world, using the name John Arthur Grant. So the music on this new album, Give Me a Mask, is not music. It's a different style again. And so I wanted to use a different name. The name Antoni Grzyb is very close to my father's name. My father was born in Poland, was one of the many people who came to Australia after the end of the Second World War. And he changed his name because it was somewhat unpronounceable, as so many European names were to Australians at that time. And so I've been known as Grant ever since for my whole life, because that's what he changed his name to. So I've reverted to a name that's very close to my father's name, and that's also to honour my father. Mm. It's also a nod to I see the music as having a European influence of being more European than American.
Mm. Well, I guess the two names both GR. So was that what your father was doing, keeping it sort of similar to the Grant to the original?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So you've started to put some of this music up on YouTube. It will be available as a physical disc, won't it? So how do people in this day and age get to own and put in their hands this album?
Well, I have a new website called Antoni G. So shortening the Grzyb to just a G, you get AntoniG.com, and that has all sorts of links and directions for anyone who wants to buy it. It'll be up on Bandcamp, which I'm sure most people know is a platform that is very supportive of artists and allows you to actually buy high quality downloads as well as stream it as well. And it also allows you to buy CDs because there's CDs in production. They'll be available in a couple of weeks' time. So you can buy CDs from Bandcamp. It's also will be available on all the common streaming services because if people are used to listening to music that way, I don't want to try and force them into doing something different. So it's available to pre-save and pre-purchase on iTunes and Spotify right now.
John Grant, thank you for joining us at Noise 11.